Good afternoon, it's Hawksbee and Jacobs here on talkSPORT. That's Show Me the Wonder, the new single by the Manic Street Preachers from their new album, Rewind the Film, which is out next month. And joining us from the band is bass player, founding member Nicky. Nicky, good to see you.
Yeah, good to be back, boys.
And horns. Horns,
Lots of horns.
So you'll be touring with horns as well, I take it.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Yeah,
that's good.
But, Sean, our drummer, is a trumpet player, so he plays quite a lot on the record, but he can't drum and play trumpet.
No,
It'd be like a one-man band.
That is pushing it a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm surprised you've made a new album and a new single. I thought you wanted a job here at talkSPORT.
Yeah, don't tempt me. I did enjoy it on the lines too.
You
that's
were
for
very
sure.
good on the show. You're on the breakfast show before. You popped up before a couple of the games, didn't you?
Yeah.
And so you enjoyed it. I mean, you were there, and it must have been tremendous being there.
Just an absolute trip of a lifetime, you know. Not only the rugby, the gigs were good, really exciting gigs as well, and just in the hotel with the players and Daniel Craig, and obviously when Gatland made his decision, we were right in the thick of that. I was all, everything was kicking off. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
Everyone moaning about too many Welsh players.
You said Daniel Craig is a bit of a Manics fan. I mean,
His daughter.
Oh, his daughter. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you often are you often surprised when you find out people are fans of the band? You know, because often quite unlikely people might be now.
Very unlikely with us.
Yeah.
No, it was a little magic moment up in the hotel, and I was having breakfast, and Daniel Craig kind of just breezed in, looking stunning, and he'd just flown from New York, come straight off the plane.
He hadn't just come out the sea.
Yeah, a pair of Speedos.
Yeah.
Straight out of the water.
That's what he always does.
Yeah.
And there was me tucking into my massive breakfast. But, I just went up and said how much I loved our friends in the North. His first thing he did really is big.
Yeah.
And then he said about his daughter. And then it turned out all his family was from North Wales, and he said, I've just flown over literally for the rugby, then I'm going back straight afterwards. So we just talked rugby for 20 minutes. It was amazing. What a trip, getting Jamie Roberts on stage with us.
Yeah. So what was he singing, playing? What was he doing?
Playing acoustic guitar pretty badly, but
He's a real
Could you hear it?
Yeah.
He's a real overachiever, isn't he? With Dr. Roberts. We had him on the show only just after he qualified. So he's a qualified doctor. He managed to play rugby to ridiculously high level. He's a pretty competent guitar player by the sound.
Amazing, and he's a lovely bloke with it. He really is a gent, and it's a relief to have someone tall on stage, because I've been surrounded by midgets for so long. Although these rugby players, they do put a couple of extra inches on the programme.
Yeah.
He's not 6'6".
Oh, no,
So the boys generally, I mean, it must have been, as you say, you must have known them anyway, quite a few of them from Welsh, just watching Wales play.
Yeah, I mean, Jamie Roberts him and James are quite good friends. He's been in our studio and borrowed the guitars, and he's still got one of our guitars, actually.
Can I have their guitar back, please?
Yeah, please.
He's probably busking on the streets of Paris.
So the new album's out on September the 16th.
Yeah.
You were out in Australia. When did you do the bulk of the work on it? Rewind, we should say it's called Rewind the Film.
Yeah, and we've been working on it the last couple of years, really. We haven't done any we haven't done any shows in the UK. We've just been off around the world, to Australia and South Korea, and all. Some brilliant experiences, but meanwhile our studio back in Cardiff, we've been sort of downtime. We're pretty skilled at what we do now. We should be after 22 years.
Sure. Do you write in the same way then, Nicky? I mean, do you tend to sort of write as a band, or does one person come with stuff? How does the process work?
As a rule, it always comes from the title and the lyrics. A bit of inspiration from a book, a film, or a song or something from someone else, and it's just always formed together, and then we kind of thrash it out. Have lots of rows and arguments, but all in the studio.
Yeah.
It's like no women or children allowed. It's just us three moaning.
Do you treat it almost 9 to 5 or not? I mean, do you come in and you say, right, we're going to get down and get some work done, and then we're off, or
it has changed having kids and stuff. Yeah, it is. It's a little bit more 9 to 5. James still loves to work through the night. It's his most creative time. He's there 3 in the morning. Trying to get everyone else enthusiastic when that's the last thing you want to do, but he still has a lot of late ones actually.
And that sounded very poppy, very accessible, didn't it? I mean, there's the album itself kind of.
It's a very delicate album.
Yeah.
I mean, Show Me the Wonder is quite uplifting, but it's very acoustic. There's not much electric guitar, which is quite rare for us. It's quite a sedate, not grown up as such, but it's just it's very intimate.
Yeah,
it's kind of which. You've got to do sometimes. We've been, it's our 11th studio album, so, variety is the spice of life.
Yeah, and see the gigs you're doing in September, Newport, Dublin, Bristol, London, Manchester and Glasgow. You're playing the Shepherd's Bush Empire, which is a nice sized venue. That's great. And seeing a band like yourselves in a little venue is fantastic.
Yeah, it's an intimate album, so we wanted to do intimate shows. The last gig we did was at the O2 when we sold out, and this album didn't feel right to do something like that. So it's much more kind of facing the crowd. really scared actually because there's so much acoustic stuff. You know, usually we just can thrash through a lot of loud guitars, but not on this one.
So it's a great time for Welsh sport at the moment with the two teams in the Premier League. I mean, is it different? I mean, when it's going well in sport in Wales, is there a different feel in the country? Would you
I think it does. You know, but then I'm a massive sports fan. But you know, this last year from, like I said, from the Premiership, that game, you know, beating England 33 in the rugby, and then the Lions, and even like Newport County getting promoted. You know, because I'm, you know,
Bale, the most expensive player in the world. Ramsey is much improved.
Oh, Ramsey is on fire, isn't he?
And I was reading yesterday in the paper this morning, the Southampton last night, they unearthed this and yet another of their conveyor belt of young stars, another young Welsh player. So
there's a lot
on the up.
You know, for a country of 3.5 million, it just gives you that spring in your step that, you know, you're kind of punching above your weight. It certainly does. It's the same with music for me. You know, it's nice to, when you're from somewhere small and some good things happen. It just makes you feel better.
What is the kind of music scene like in Wales at the moment? I mean, a lot of bands and sort of top acts have come out of Wales, but I mean, what's it like now?
I think it's really vibrant. I think for the last 20 years, there's been a constant kind of conveyor belt, really, of really talented musicians and writers who've really kind of put themselves out there. I think before maybe we were a little bit reticent, but I think since we trailblazed the path.
Well, it's little things. I don't know. It's things like the sort of Cardiff and the way Cardiff has changed as a city in the last few years, and the Doctor Who thing, and it's just this kind of a bit of a feel-good thing about Wales at the moment.
It is, you know, and I love the fact, you know, I love being many things. I love supporting Europe in the Ryder Cup. I love supporting British Lions. I love supporting Wales. I think we're lucky to live in a country like ours that you can, and then you have allegiance to clubs as well in football. You know,
this idea of working sort of little mini tours and gigs around big sporting events. Is this something you're going to sort of expand upon? Has it worked out so well in?
I feel Rio coming on.
Yeah. So a couple of gigs.
Well, we're definitely going to do the next Lions tour in New Zealand because it was such a spectacle, and that'll be the hardest series ever to win in New Zealand. We were going to try and rush release and try and see the Ashes.
That's a good idea.
Go back to Australia at Christmas.
Try and nip over, but I don't think we'll be able to pull it off. But I do think it's something that we will pursue.
Yeah,
you know,
why not?
It's entertainment for people who turned up as well. I mean, I couldn't walk around without Sydney without someone tap me on the shoulder going, "Oh, I know your mum." You know? I seen her in Blackwood the other day. It's just like 40,000 people and such good spirits.
All we need now is Simon Jones to make a comeback. We'll be laughing.
Yeah.
Well, James Harris is a very good bowler who I fancy might make it on the England. He left Glamorgan for Middlesex, I think, last year.
Yeah.
He's a good boy.
He's quick, isn't he?
Well,
yes.
We'll chat more with Nicky Wire in a few moments' time from the Manic Street Preachers. It's Hawksbee and Jacobs on talkSPORT. Nicky Wire from the Manic Street Preachers with us in the studio, and I don't know if you're torn on the Gareth Bale. I know you're a big Spurs watcher as well, Nicky. So we've got this Welsh player, the world's most expensive player. They're now talking Tottenham about potentially fining him because he's not turned up for training for 2 days. It's kind of a shame that it's ended up this way, isn't it?
Really? It really is, yeah, because I think everyone would say Gareth is a genuinely decent fella, you know, and it's kind of turning him a bit against him, which doesn't feel right. I mean, I do think if he stayed, we'd have a chance at the title.
Well, I can't see how he possibly can. Even AVB has said it's very, very close to happening. But
he is a really level-headed, grounded person. I think it's just in him now that he wants to go, isn't it?
I think it's the best bit of transfer business in history.
Yeah.
Spurs have been able, in a way that you never get this opportunity unless you win the Champions League or something like that, where you get £100 million clear to spend on 6-7. I mean, they bring in Lamella, and we've just been talking about Andros Townsend.
Oh, he's come on brilliant.
Bale's a great player, but I think Spurs are going to end up stronger than they were last season.
Yeah, stronger overall. I agree. Yeah. It's just whether they got that little magic last 2 minutes. Save you kind of
hopefully
moment.
They won't need that. It'll be Soldado penalty. Yeah. By the look of it. That's like the current route.
They go through a whole season where they're getting a penalty and winning 1-0 every game.
Mac had just brought in a picture of you, Nicky, because he was out there, of course, doing the Lions tour, and you invited him to the concert. And it's an amazing picture of you playing, but with these feather sort of boa. What's all that about?
It just goes back to, you know, the dark, wonderful days of my youth, you know, is like New York Dolls kind of trashy vibe we had. And I used to collect, fans used to give me feather boas, hundreds of them, and I've I've put them all on my mic stand over the years.
I'll bring it back to sport. Feather, boa, morte.
Oh, fantastic. That's fantastic. No more. Come and have your feather boa bass players. I think we've had it, haven't we?
We've done that.
Yeah, I think we have. People should check out the video as well to Show Me the Wonder, the new single, which you've shot in a pub. I take it in Wales somewhere.
It was an old working men's club up in Porth. It was really, I mean, we wanted to look like the 70s and we didn't have to try that hard.
Yeah.
We didn't have to dress it, but it was really good fun. Lovely people up there. Yeah, it was great.
Where's the single out now, Nicky? Yeah?
I think it's out the 9th. And the album the week after that.
Brilliant, yeah. 16th. The album, single Show Me the Wonder. So go and check out the video of that on YouTube and more. Rewind the Film is the album out on the 16th. And Nicky, lovely to see you again.
Yeah,
Thanks
pleasure,
ever so much for coming in.
Thanks
Nicky
very
Wyan,
much.
They're from the Manics. It's Hawksbee and Jacobs with you through until 4 o'clock this afternoon. In the next